Cruiserweight Championship will be on the line. Tune in to find out what happens on SmackDown. He's Josh Matthews. I'm Steve Merrill. Talk to you next week.
You just got to refresh your page so you can hear us talking on the...
Okay, wait. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We will have Paul London in 1 second as we get him on the phone. We definitely... that was a clip of Paul London winning one of the Cruiserweight Championship opportunities at the time when Hurricane Helms... Is Hurricane Helms, by the way, still on SmackDown? I haven't seen
yeah, but nowadays it's kind of hard to even tell what he's really doing, considering that they're not giving him much of a push.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have former WWE superstar Paul London. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's up, Paul?
You hear me?
Yeah, very.
Sorry, I'm still a train.
I'm sorry?
I was using the latrine. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So what's up, Paul?
Not a whole lot. Just, enjoying my evening.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing our show, by the way, and we definitely want to thank, Corey for making it happen as well.
No, it's my pleasure. This should be fun. I hope you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, we can hear you better now. Well, thank you once again, Paul. Yes, we had so many great guests on, and the funny thing is that we've always talked well about you on this show. We've always wanted to know, to start it off, like we always talk on the show, like why they don't do anything with Paul London, or you were the tag team champion for about a year on SmackDown, and it seemed like nobody even gave a crap about that. I just wanted to know, like, what were you feeling in the WWE? Did you know they were not treating you well, or were you happy there?
Well, let me see. I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing, but I think if I caught you properly, you're wondering what my mindset was while I was there, as far as just realizing, like, hey, a lot seem to match up with what I feel in my heart is what should be. Then, I can answer that question. I think that's what you're asking, like, kind of what my mentality was.
I was sort of asking, like, because you are a very talented wrestler, and I can easily say that. And I just felt, as a fan, that they were not utilizing your talents in the WWE as I thought they should. Did you feel the same way?
Yes. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I definitely knew that I was capable of a lot more, and I constantly tried to feed ideas and possibilities, as crazy as you could imagine, and as toned down as you could imagine. But I went all over the board, and you start to develop, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, but it can be easy to get discouraged when you're up there, when you're working so hard and feeling like it's unappreciated. And at the same time, there's another side to it that, many people could say, well, you have what's called the worker's curse. And that's when you have the ability to make the most talentless wrestlers look like they're talented. You know what I mean? So that was, I guess in one regard you could say I kind of got typecast as the guy to go to make the boring, mundane drones look unique and special.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, let me ask you this, because it's funny because you've been in the WWE for quite some time, on and off on TV, and we always talk about the video game, and a lot of people measure stuff by the video game, ironically.
Sure.
And you were there almost every single year, and yet you never made the fucking SmackDown game.
It was weird, Like I think we just made it. I think I made it twice overall, maybe. I know I made it once when I was singles, and then I think Brian and I made it again once.
Yeah, and we were like, the best tag team on SmackDown, and you guys, for some reason, like, Snifky was on the game or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was worse than that. It was worse than that. I can understand, like a company scurrying around to, remove, I can and I can't, but I'll say I can somewhat understand a company scurrying around to remove, say, like Chris Benoit when all that went down. I kind of get that.
Right.
But when there was a situation where Brian and I were in the game for the longest time, I swear you're going to think this is weird. We were in the game. This is like, I think, the 2007, like when we had our run, basically. We were in the game, and then, because the THQ guys loved us, that we were like their favorite guys to make and stuff, because you could do everything with us, and it was easy. And they liked it, and it was like the more popular of the characters that were being requested. And so they had us in the game. Someone who couldn't, I guess, stand up and say, "Hey, it was me," but somebody, we were always kind of speculating. It was a fun game to play after a while, but somebody had us removed from the game and had Crime Time put in, and this is after Crime Time was fired.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
No, I mean, do you understand what I just said? I mean, Crime Time was fired, and they still had them put in the game over us. And, I mean, it wasn't because there's nothing to do with us. It just, I really honestly feel like it just got to where it was like personal vendetta. It's like, well, I don't like those kids. They don't let me sit at their they don't let me sit with them at their table. They eat on a different side of the cafeteria. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The funny thing is, they didn't even include like stuff to make you. You know what I mean? Like no. it was like I almost thought myself the same thing. Like London and Kendrick must have done something to somebody.
Yeah, I mean
somewhere.
I don't know. It's you'll never know, I guess, because those that would be looked at for answers, could probably never find it in themselves to.
I mean, it's a silly thing. It's a silly thing to bring up, but we, especially on this show, we always talk about the video games because that's a major market. I mean, you
have every right to ask. I mean, you're talking about a company that tries to protect its quote-unquote biggest star on video games by saying that he can't be seen in a defenseless or helpless manner. I mean, tell me that wasn't the funniest thing you've ever read. Like, is he that insecure?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I was actually going to make a mention about the Triple H situation, that he didn't want any footage of him being beaten down by another wrestler.
About the footage thing, yeah.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Are you kidding?
I mean, so just let's try to, find out from your perspective. How was Triple H basically backstage with you? I mean, was he ever a dick with you? Much like what people say.
One-on-one, he was always, pretty civil and nice guy, and always was there to, offer me advice and this and that. But, there were times when, and it's just like, whatever, it's a business. But, there are times when a guy take, attempted shots at you in front of people to try and get a pop amongst the group, and he fails miserably at it, and nobody laughs, and you kind of just end up laughing at him, and so there were those kind of moments where I was just kind of like, and it's a good thing you're not in comedy there, Hunter, and like, yeah, okay, so all those scenes that were on the cutting room floor of Blade 3 were comedy, right? That's what happened. It was, but one-on-one he was always, he would offer advice, but I don't know, it was I couldn't help but always have some skepticism whenever, what's really being said here? What's really, I don't know why, it just got to that point.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul.
I mean, hey, you guys are coming out to the ring, and I'm going to beat, you guys are going to save me, and I'm going to beat you guys both up. That's not my idea. Not my idea, okay?
What the hell?
Not my idea. I just want you guys to know it's not my idea, okay? As long as you guys mind getting tattoos that says it's not my idea, because I just want you guys, not my idea. It's like, okay, man, we don't have a problem with it, but it's not your idea.
I was watching that Raw, and I'm thinking, oh, that's cool, he's going to put, London and Kendrick over, and then he turns around and beats the shit out of you guys.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we weren't even really a speck on his hand thong-printed ass. So I don't really know what good he thought that was doing him as far as pedigreeing, a couple of specks.
I don't get it.
Hey, video game. See video game. See above video game.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul. I always ask this of the people that do this show. What makes a normal person want to do this for a living? Like, when did you know that you wanted to wrestle for a living?
What makes you think I'm normal?
This Ring of Honor.
There's a paradox to what you just said. I mean, you can't. I mean, what makes a normal person doesn't want to do this?
Paul, if I recall, there was people in Ring of Honor chanting, "Please don't die" in most of your fucking matches because you were just doing.
Yeah, I mean, if having that adrenaline from that kind of response, if having the response that I received Saturday at PWG in Reseda, if having those kind of responses can give you a surge that not a single chemical, not a single influence of any type can have on your body, if that can happen so raw and naturally, where you're just almost uplifted out of body, having this insane experience, then, I mean, yes, that's going to take someone who is not the everyday normal person. It's going to take somebody who has to have an essence of fearlessness within them, because there is no end to this business. It's a tunnel with maybe a light at the end, maybe not. And then once you maybe get to that light at the end of the tunnel, you realize that it's like 30,000 miles longer until you really get to what you think is that light there. And then so you really have to be willing to either put it all in or you're kidding yourself.
And while you were growing up or anything, did you see anybody that made you say, "Holy crap, I really want to do this for a living"? Were you a fan?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Gradually, it increased as my awareness and my perception of it, grew or matured in a way. As my tastes and my interests outside of wrestling materialized, obviously would slowly influence my tastes in wrestling, because at the time there was a lot more of an assortment, more of a variety, I would imagine, than there is today. Growing up watching early 90s, like 90 basically and on, because I began to get interested when I was about 11, so that would have been in about 91. And, I was so intently hooked on Curt Hennig. I just thought he was incredible. Still do, obviously, but I just thought he was fantastic. How could you not also be a hot rod Roddy Piper fan? I mean, Roddy Piper was just like the epitome of badass. He just, he wasn't like, and when I was catching him, it was, he wasn't even the most jacked guy at that point, but he was just, like with Curt Hennig, it was like raw athleticism and just this like cocky kind of panache to him. And then with Hot Rod, it was like just this badass who was just like this fighter. You know what I mean? Like he may not be like the most absolutely athletic guy, but he was just this kick-ass fighter. Like, I want to go into a bar, start a fight, but I want him on my side, and let's see what happens. This is gonna be fun. Like, he's just like crazy. It's like, how do you not want to be friends with someone like that? So those appealed to me tremendously. But then as I grew older, the first time I saw Rob Van Dam, I got just instantly hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like this is just this is kind of like a fusion of styles, and it was kind of exposure I'd seen to it. And I was probably at his first couple times, I think, at ECW. My brother was going to school in Philadelphia at University of Pennsylvania, and so when I would go up there to visit him, I was able to catch ECW on the local TV. I was just like, holy Christ, this is amazing! Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of altered my perception. Like, wow, it really changed my look at how it goes into it.
Those were the times to really be a fan. I mean, you had varieties at that time, and ECW was completely different, and WCW.
Tons of variety.
Yeah, I mean, it was totally out there at that time. definitely.
Whereas now, you know, you see a lot of these guys now have like the same haircuts and like the same trunks and the same stupid tribal tattoos, and like it's just like, what is going on here? Like, it looks like a bunch of clones, you know, and so.
Well, let me ask you something. Right before you came on, we played a video of yours where you were competing for the #1 contender for the cruiserweight title. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on basically the burial of the cruiserweight division, because that was a huge part of wrestling in the late '90s and early 2000s or whatever. And it seemed like, you know, I think Hornswoggle was the last champion, if I'm not mistaken. And for some reason, you know, it's almost like the cruiserweights that are in the WWE, or I should say the lightweights, such as yourself or Kendrick or Jamie Noble, talented guys, don't have anything to do except to lose to Kane and Mike Knox.
I like to call it fodder. Actually, it's more like heavyweight fodder. Yeah, you know, it's a shame because they're usually, if not always, the more talented. If not athletically, at least, you know, then definitely well-rounded to the point where it's like, you know, skill to skill, they'll put the big men to shame every time. But I think that traditionally has been a problem where you have the big guys who are like, hey, you know, like, come on, it's not realistic, you know, this is real, you know. And then, you know, so, I kind of forgot your question, actually, already. I'm not going to lie.
My question was about the cruiserweight title.
Yes, the cruiserweight division, absolutely. I just remembered. It came back to me in a flash, like a golden leprechaun. And so, I don't really consider Hornswoggle the last champion. Like, I just don't. Because
on record,
come on, man. He's like a Monopoly piece. You know, it's just like, oh, I want to lose. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem fitting. You know what I mean? Like, for the guys who actually really, and I'm not saying he wasn't like trying hard, but it wasn't put on him for credible reasons. You know what I mean? It was just put on him to have a laugh, you know, which is pretty sad. It's like, you know, you have all this money and like that's what you have to do to entertain yourself. Like, that's really sad. I could think of a million things I'd rather do with that kind of money than just whatever. And, you know, whatever. But I think I think ultimately it was simply just ignorance that went into it. Ignorance. You know, I think it was ego and ignorance. And when I say ego, I think it means like, you know, you hear an expression when you're with your buddies or whatnot, and you'll see like, you know, you're all walking down the street or something after having just, you know, had I don't know, some pitas or something, and some lamb, and so you're all, you know, kind of hurting, your stomach's kind of hurting, you're not feeling your best, and you're kind of walking down the street with your buddies, and some hot girl walks by, you know, some attractive, you know, lady walks by or whatnot, and like maybe you were like, oh man, she's so beautiful, and make like a comment to the other guys, and then, you know, the one guy who's kind of no-selling her, like, nah, you know, the guy who really kind of gets it, he's like, no, screw that, I don't like girls who think they're, you know, their stuff doesn't stink, you know, like, that's very common, where it's like, nah, screw that, it makes it unattractive, you know, like, oh, she doesn't think her, you know, she doesn't think her, the expression, she doesn't think her shit stinks, but I'm trying not to cuss here, so, but,
no,
that kind of
curse.
I think they have that same kind of, well, I try not to, it's just every day, you know, I'm trying, you know, I don't know, I'm a nerd, but, they, but I think they have that same mentality in a way where they're kind of like, no,
I apologize for our cursing then.
No, I actually appreciate it. I live I curse vicariously through you. I think they just,
Paul,
go ahead.
No, Paul, I just wanted to ask you too. I mean, 'cause I know a lot of people wanted to know more about this whole situation going down, and I'm pretty sure you're aware of it now. But in the last month or so, what really transpired this whole problem between yourself and Matt Hardy backstage that's causing all this stuff where he's kind of starting to call you out on his shit, and it's a back-and-forth situation. But I also wanted to know what's going on with Matt's personal life that he seems to always lose a girl to another wrestler. I mean, is there something that we don't know about Matt Hardy that you can share to other people out there?
You know, it's funny you say back and forth because it hasn't been back and forth at all. I've made it insistent that that I wouldn't get into block battles. And I guess you could look at it as like, oh, he's just commenting on it now, so that would be his volley back. But I don't need to get into internet battles or blog battles with with basically a guy who like I just mentioned doesn't think his stuff stinks or needs any kind of improvement or this or that. A guy who thinks so highly of himself that he adorns his house with pictures of himself. So
wow.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever in my life seen him without his own merchandise on his body. Like, I don't think he's ever not worn his own. I think he actually has a deal with Hanes. I think it's like Hardanes, and they make their own underwear, actually, out there in Cameron. It's weird. Yeah, they actually run sweatshops out there.
So literally, it's almost seems like this gimmick.
Well, he tried that, but he wasn't smart enough to figure out that, the cumulus clouds would always overtake the black cloud, and so he kind of chose a poor one. So he couldn't actually do that. He actually tried to do some weird reverse hydrolysis and become water pellets in order to actually be a dark cloud. Like, he was trying hard, but I don't know. It was weird. I guess you just don't.
Well, what I don't understand, Paul, and I know that you basically said that you wanted to put this behind you and all that kind of stuff. But I'll say it for not only you but for the fans. I just want to know, like, Matt Hardy is in the WWE. He's still employed by the WWE. Why?
Sure.
Why are you employed by the WWE? And you have this hot angle supposedly with Jeff Hardy. Why would you even waste your time to even so-called answer what he says, is a no-battle?
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very good point. I actually
want to referring someone as a hooligan.
Yeah. Hooligan.
Well, I want to thank him. Actually, publicly, I want to thank him for the exposure. I mean, how flattering is it for me to have a mega star? I mean, I'm talking like a mega star. Definitely a household name. I mean, wouldn't you think? I mean, he's definitely a household name.
By the way, what happened with Hooligan? I always thought that was an awesome name for you and Kendrick as a tag team. I don't know why they never went with that.
We did present it multiple times, and it was always, no. Once you guys have your own names, so that when we break you up, it won't affect things.
You guys came out in masks. You had matching tights. You had something going. I don't understand. And you had hooligans written on your fucking tights. Why the fuck didn't WWE ever acknowledge that? Beyond me, but it's just shit like that got me pissed off about that, because your tag team was awesome.
Do you think at all that Matt Hardy just seems to feel the need to, maybe he's bored, or maybe he's like, well, let's use talking about me today, and I'll answer them.
I don't think he's bored. I think he's just insecure and he's afraid, I think he's worried about the truth getting out there,
Well, the guy is losing his hair.
I thought it was a modified mullet. I actually thought it was a spray-on mullet.
And Jeff Hardy is more over than his own brother. I mean, Jeff Hardy has had a lot of issues with demons, but fans seem to praise more Jeff.
Has that ever been in question? I mean, has it ever been in question? He's always been popular.
But in reality, though, Paul, what's your feelings with Jeff? I mean, is he totally different from his brother? I mean, do you get along with him?
Yeah, he's way more sincere. He's very sincere. He's a sweet guy. He's really a guy. He's not out to hound all the attention or the spotlight. He's just naturally charismatic, and I think people can pick up on the fact that he's naturally sincere and genuine.
I think when the whole thing with him and Ed, he had sympathy with the fans. But I think over time, the fans really gave two shits about Matt nowadays. I mean, before they were so pro against with the "you screwed Matt" chant for months and months. He gets his job back, thinking he was going to become a megastar now. And Edge is 8-time champion. How many fucking times has this man held a world championship title? Other than the
quite a lot. I don't know. I mean, I don't really keep up with it, but I don't know. I guess.
Let me ask you this, Paul. Does anything, and be honest, does anything between you and Matt have anything to do with Ashley Mazzaro?
Not from a relationship standpoint, no.
Okay. Because people wanted to know. Because people think that Matt Hardy is harping on this relationship.
He might be. I don't know. I can't speak for him. I know facts that the average fans don't know, and
it's sad. It's sad that it's a reality.
Yeah. And from a professional standpoint, you feel, and again, be honest, you feel that you're more talented than Matt Hardy. I think I've seen you in matches that rival a Matt Hardy match.
I'm more talented athletically. I'm more talented from an ability standpoint. I'm more talented from a verbal standpoint. I'm more talented from a vocal standpoint. I'm more talented from an honest standpoint. Where I am not more talented is in a political standpoint. Where I'm not more talented is in a manipulative standpoint. Where I'm not more talented is in a cowardice standpoint. There he's got me.
And what's the situation with him and Edge? Do they even still have animosity after all this, or did he just kind of tuck his shit?
I think the whole thing was a work, to be honest with you. I think the three of them, and I think maybe the three of them thought, like maybe they should put out a film, like a tape, and they went to Chatsworth and tried to talk to a few producers, and they're like, "Are you kidding? The three of you are ugly. Like nobody's gonna buy this." And then, and then it was like, "Oh well, let's just pretend that you bang my girlfriend, and I'll get angry about it, and then I'll get fired, and then I'll go and shoot videos in the woods where I have a gun because that makes me look cool." And you know what I mean? And I'll shoot cardboard cutouts of my ex-girlfriend because that'll show her. So I don't know.
Matt Hardy was not pleading his case when he was doing those videos.
It just was more of an act of desperation at this point from what Matt was doing. I mean, he was going as the Punisher now. It just wasn't working.
I don't know. Maybe Punisher Warzone because it was the shits. Not even actually. That's insulting to Punisher Warzone. But I don't know. But I want to thank him again for the publicity. Just for mentioning someone like me, just a little dot, on his universe. It's just he's such a megastar, and I'm just so pleased that he even acknowledged it. He obviously listened to the interview 1,000 times, sat in front of his computer for hours before he actually figured out how to type on it.
So, Paul, can we confirm basically that there will be no possible turn to the WWE in any future for you if you ever decide to, or maybe they decide to let bygones be bygones?
Is this a work so that you can go attack Matt Hardy on TV?
Well, if you see me in the woods with like a bow and arrow and his cardboard cutout, then you'll know it's a work. Or if you see me shooting a BB gun or something in the South Sign.
You gotta wear the mask that you used to wear, to the ring. In the video.
What the Ground Luchador mask or the theater mask?
The Kendrick in London mask that you
Sure, I've got a few of them actually. I've been selling them to bondage companies. They're looking for new molds.
And by the way, what kind of musical you were planning to originally have? Because I heard something saying that you used to also push a lot for trying to change your entrance theme. Because for a while you kind of got
what was that? What was that entrance song, by the way? Was that your idea?
I feel like was that my idea? Come on. You guys have anything that's like rockerish, Ultimate Warrior-ish, but kind of like mixed together in a blender? Do you guys have anything like that? I mean, that'd be really badass, guys. No, not at all. Whatever. There's worse music out there. I was happy to just have music at all and not just be like the guy in the ring, like John Smith, like raises his hand and crap. And I did get that a few times. But I was just happy to have music at all. But then,
it could have been worse. It could have been Just Look at Me.
Nature sounds. Actually, I would have preferred nature sounds, like Skinner had. That shit was awesome. Remember that? It was like. You're like, what the fuck is this?
I like the Stalker. I like the Stalker music.
Oh, that was badass too. Yeah, that was badass, man. It was like one of those weird paintings you have to stare at it for a long time to see the real guy. But what happened was,
a lot of people. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It was like that awkward second. It gets thrown around. But what I think we felt was as the companies seemed to have shown like they were going to be willing to start investing a little bit in us. They were starting to like have their eyes opened a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, these guys we didn't want to put the belts on originally have kind of surprised us and kind of, hey, you know what, maybe we'll try it another month. And, they started to kind of take notice and be like, well, actually, it'd be stupid to take it off them because there's nobody better at the moment. And so, during that time, we started to feel like, hey, maybe they are willing to invest in us more and more, and we just need to keep working our tails off. And we did. And so we felt, well, if this is really going to slowly start to take its step to the next level, music is key in our minds, in a way. It's not the only key, but it's a very, very key component. Because with new music, it lets the fans know, hey, we need to kind of look at these guys differently now, I think. Yeah. You know, without new music...
It actually works for your partner, Brian Kendrick, because I actually like that theme that he comes out with now. And also, what's your opinion on him? I mean, a lot of people talk saying that backstage he's somewhat of a prick and he's hard to get along with, and his smoking habits has recently caused him some problems with the league.
How dare those...
Can you kind of elaborate on all that?
I mean, we did not report that.
No, this is basically what's on the internet a lot. It explains supposedly the keep pushing of Kendrick.
Did you see what kind of chant I received at PWG this past weekend? If you have it, I'll tell you, it starts with an M.
Starts with an M.
And it kind of sounds like JBL's energy drink.
We had Rob Van Dam on the show. He explained everything to us. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Well, you know, there's a few of us that would just much rather use botany as opposed to chemicals in order to ease our pain, and so again, a moment of ignorance, I would believe, on a company that is, you know, fueled by, you know, millions and millions of dollars, that you would think that if they were willing to look at their athletes and say, hey, these guys are looking for alternatives which are legal in their states, their home states where they're currently residing, these laws are legal, and there are athletes, and they're seeking alternative means for medicine which have proven absolutely no deaths, no overdoses, nothing of the negative sense, then maybe we should try. Think of the headlines they would make if they stood up for them. Think of the publicity they might possibly get. Think of the fans, or not so much the fans, but think of the supporters they might receive if they were to actually support their own talent. That's something to think about.
And I think we had you know, like I mentioned before, we had RVD on, who obviously is a huge, you know, he's for that, obviously, and you know,
much like us here on the Roundtable.
Exactly.
We all live on the West Coast, believe it or not.
And you guys, you know, I
can't say we all live about within 30 miles of each other.
Yeah, I can imagine. No, but
Three people just mentioned on the show.
Must fly to the West Coast sometime.
I'm telling you, man, it's waiting.
What do you think of the road life and, you know, the injuries? Because you brought that up about the pain situation. And do you think, like, nobody ever really talks about that? They always talk about the steroids or, you know, the deaths or whatever, but nobody ever...
Oh, absolutely. I'll say this. I mean, most wrestlers a lot of times are afraid to admit injuries because... And it's not even to the point of, like, hey, I'm tough. That just becomes innate, where you're kind of... You put up with it so much that what becomes an everyday ache for us is more of a drastic ailment and injury for somebody else, for like the everyday person we were talking about earlier. You know, there's this huge difference. And so just because of the consistency of the schedule, you almost have no choice but to become used to the pain and the dullness and the soreness. And it's not until you really have a removal of that when it happens again, you're just kind of like, holy crap, like I've aged several hundred years. And so, but you know, I remember growing up, I read lots of books just on athletes that I admired and, you know, their workout habits and ways for them to stay in top shape. And I always told myself, if any injuries I get, I can learn to kind of live through them now than when I get up and start getting more serious injuries. It was like I was already planning on injuries, obviously, but I was like, when I get up and get more serious injuries, and this is pertaining mostly to pain meds also, because I figured, you know what, if I can suffer through this pain without the need of any kind of pain medication, this was like when I was in college and stuff, first starting out in the indies, because I was getting thrashed. I said, you know what, then I can hopefully develop what's the word I'm looking for? I can hopefully develop like a, you know,
right.
An ability to withstand it. Yeah, an ability to withstand the pain more without needs for further help, you know, and I can safely say that I am, without a doubt, probably one of the absolute cleanest wrestlers that's ever been. I've never taken a steroid in my entire life. I don't even know how that would work or what they look like completely. And I couldn't tell you what's what or what they're spelled like. It's all confusing, just wannabe chemistry to me. And then I've never in my life seeked the need of any kind of pain meds that weren't prescribed to me for an injury. And even when I did, I would never finish them just because I don't like the feeling. It's just, you know, so it's sad. You know, a lot of people don't admit injuries because their fears are of losing their spot or of getting replaced, you know, and it's a reality. That's just the reality of the business. But, you know, it almost turns into like a bunch of these guys turning into like racetrack dogs. You know, what's that dog in The Simpsons, Santa's Little Helper? It's like a bunch of Santa Little Helpers, you know, and except, you know, once they get broken and kind of thrown off, you know, the insurance plans that are in there for them, you know, may not be the most dependable insurance plans, you know, so I don't know. It's just it's a rough existence.
Let me ask you in your personal opinion, because we had Bill DeMont on this show, obviously Hugh Morris and the rest of the fans. And we asked him, you know, about Chris Benoit. Do you think that his legacy for DVDs and future, you know, WWE 24/7, should they delete those kind of things because of what happened, or should they leave them on for fans that might want to even check it out?
Well, I mean, do you think fans will? Do you think it'll work? I mean, do you think it's working? Do you have any good? Have all your good memories of Chris Benoit been erased from your mind? Do you remember anything positive about him? I sure do.
Absolutely, I do.
Absolutely.
And I think it's not the workers that work with him.
We had a show last week.
That is simply a publicity ploy in my mind for them to cover their own ass and think, you know what? Hey, you know, let's put sand back over these tracks after we've tracked all over the desert. Let's go back and cover our tracks so that we won't look like we're endorsing the whole thing. Hey, Paul.
The way they came about it was stupid, and you know, it's not only does that eliminate anything of good that Chris Benoit did before all this crap happened, but it also takes away from what a lot of workers that had matches with him that actually performed some of the most memorable matches, like him and Kurt Angle. You know, Mysterio and so forth. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious what the boys think, because you know, it's obviously fans have made up their own mind. You know, they have websites dedicated to I Hate Chris Benoit, but you know, for me personally,
I couldn't tell you. You know, I can't speak on behalf of the boys.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I can't speak on behalf of them. I can only speak on what I felt, but you know, I can't speak on behalf of them. Most of them had better relationships. Some of them didn't have any relationships with them. I had a very, I had a unique friendship with him. It wasn't anything, I'm not going to say it was this great friendship. We called each other or anything like that, but, you know, he definitely was a big influence on me. Definitely helped me out, definitely gave me tremendous amounts of advice, which I still use to this day, and was just a real motivating aspect, especially when there were times when I was down and, you know, just thinking like, Jesus, like, I need to see some light here. Like, I'm really down in the doldrums. Like, I'm better than this. I'm doing better, you know, and he was there to help me pick me up, you know, and because he understood that smaller guy's complex, you know, he understood that, and he broke it, you know, he broke out of that whole mold, and it was like, how could you not be inspired by that? So, to have that whole thing taken away and erased just because of everything that went down, and even the details still are just so vague in a way, you know, there's no way of anyone really knowing, you know, I mean, maybe that's just an optimistic end of me wondering, but it is and will always be a tragedy, and something that's just extremely tragic. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but don't make it more tragic than it has to be. I mean, at least this is something that can be honored. If not for him, at least for the sport of wrestling.
Exactly. I have to agree.
Well, let me ask you about your wonderful tag team title run. I wanted to know who was behind you guys for that? Because obviously somebody had to be, cheerleading for you guys as far as, you guys holding the belts. Was there anybody in particular that would we believe in these guys, for you guys to hold the title?
I'd say there were a few that were behind us, like Dean Malenko was always pushing for us because of, his connection with just cruiserweights and having been, such a classic cruiserweight in his own right. And so Ricky Steamboat was another one. Arn Anderson was another one. Pat Patterson was another one. And so Steve Kern, who's awesome as well, who's another one. Who I'm trying to think of some. So there was actually a few guys who really enjoyed our work, for what it was and how hard we worked. And I never wanted to be like this perception out there that, it was like them against us all the time, because it wasn't like that. I mean, they couldn't help but appreciate what we were capable of, and they couldn't help but appreciate our abilities and our raw talent and our developing talent. They couldn't help but notice when we did make improvements and when we were trying, because we were trying. We were always trying to do what we could to get more TV time. We would ask them constantly, what do we need to do? What can we do? Please tell us, help us. We want to be there. We want to get up there. Why wouldn't we? Help us, help everybody, It's only going to benefit everybody in the long run. Please help us. And a lot of times the advice was fairly generic, and you just felt like you were being given advice to shut you up and send you on your way. And how do you respond to that, And you just keep trucking along and keep chipping at everything they give you and making the absolute best with what you're given. But sadly, it becomes a numbers game where it's just kind of like, well, they're not really favored by this person or that person, so probably shouldn't stick my neck out for them so much anymore, and it just, things just change rather quickly.
Well, I remember visiting the websites, and you guys, there was always something new every day about you guys are catching up to Demolition, or you guys are catching up to, certain records. And, I think the internet respected you guys, but I just, even though you guys were the tag team champions, it's almost like, because SmackDown in general, for example, we were talking about this right before you came on the show, just doesn't seem to get, the recognition sometimes. And you guys were on the SmackDown show, and it seemed like, even though you guys were the tag team champions for almost a year, it's almost like, as far as Raw and, pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff, it's like nobody even knew. You know what I mean?
It almost seems like when you moved to Raw, when they drafted you guys, that was pretty much like the end of your run with in the SmackDown thing. I mean, you guys had something going for tag, expecting some good things for you guys on Raw, and they didn't really use you guys much to anything on Raw. I mean, it's like
that was like a pointless move.
That was pretty strange. The whole deal went down pretty sour.
By the way, Laura, the owner of your official website, says hi. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
yes.
But,
never heard of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Now we got a bunch of people typing in the room, so while you're
we have a lot of people listening to you. They're huge fans of yours.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They've been listening to that. If I'd have known, I would have actually done my vocal warm-ups. I thought it was just the three of us on conference call, and I thought we were about to order a pizza and some Twix.
There's a guy named David.
Who's gonna roll up?
There's a guy named David.
Is he rolling what up? Oh, right.
He ordered the PWG DVD from the show that you participated this weekend, and
fantastic.
He's a huge fan of yours and stuff like that, and everybody. Really.
If someone seems to, for some reason, wants to know your opinion on Teddy Hart, that seems to be a lot of.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone's got. I mean, I understand why people may not like him, but I think Teddy's cool. He's a cool dude, and I mean, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. I mean, we're not. People might look at us as having a lot of similarities, but I think we're very different. And he's athletic.
I did see a lot of Teddy's matches with AAA. I still watch some AAA here and there on Saturdays, and he's
awesome. Yeah, he's crazy. I want to go cliff jumping with that dude sometime. I'd like to go skydiving with him, to be honest with you. That'd be fun.
That'll be awesome. Have a match.
They're saying that if you lock up with Teddy, it'll be the best match of 2009.
Well, it depends under what standards you're thinking. I mean, I think it could be a lot of fun, but.
But you've been to Mexico times, though, right, Paul?
I've been to Mexico several times, mostly with the entertainers, but I've been to Mexico several times, and it's a wild, wild place. It's a lot of
because
fun.
it seems like AAA nowadays, it's really looking for a lot of foreign talents, or at least getting a lot of foreign talents in the company. I mean, you got Teddy Hart there, you got Conan and X-Pac and some countless others there.
Sure.
People want to know about if you would go to TNA right now, and I know you did wrestle in TNA. What are your thoughts on that product?
Well, I don't have a TV, but I don't have cable or anything. I don't watch TV. So I can't really say what their current stuff is because I just don't watch it. I don't watch anything except classically trained actresses. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding, but that's not what I watch. but from what I know, my friends that work there and stuff, and from what I can gather, they definitely have a lot more leniency in their product. They definitely carry the attitude of wanting to expand and grow and thrive and mature and blossom, and so that's very appealing. As opposed to just something extremely cemented that has very little room for growth or awareness, like expansion of the mind and beliefs, or like ways, just trying new things, being progressive. It's like I think of TNA and I think it's progressive. It may not always hit, but they're trying. They're not willing. They're willing. They're willing to do things and try things and see what sticks, and that's very appealing. So, but as far as a lot of their action, it's obviously just, to me, it's been very entertaining. I can't say that now at this very moment would be the best time for me to go. I can't say that it wouldn't. It's not something that I wake up being like, man, I wonder when they're going to call me, or like, I wonder, man, I got this great idea. I will chew on it when it's served to me in front of my plate on that day, whenever that day happens, when our paths happen to unite, and either somehow I'm united with them through a phone call or an email or a Twitter, or I don't even know what the hell that is, but a smoke signal, maybe a smoke signal gets sent their way. I don't know. I know a lot of tribes. I know a lot of tribes out here. Whenever they unite, whenever my energy and the TNA energy unites in whatever fashion, is when
the world finally come together.
Completely, it's all a kismet. Everything's kismet in my life. Everything that happens is my destiny.
You got to do the Mega Power handshake with TNA. Macho and Hogan, you got to do a...
They might explode if I do that. I have so much raw energy right now, it's waiting to pop!
So, Paul, let me ask you, do you have any really ill will with WWE? Would you ever consider going back with them if they decide to give you another chance somewhere down the line? Or is that just too soon to ask?
Another chance.
Is that a question?
They've given many opportunities for so many guys. Ask Goldust. I think he's been employed about, his 9th time already with that company?
Yeah, but what is each time done for him?
I don't know.
Sadly, he just looks like more and more depleted each time. I think he was an awesome character when he started, but just kind of got just ran its course. You know what I mean? Like I would never want to run my course anywhere, and obviously I didn't come near that where I was. But at the same time, it's like that just goes for life. Like I don't want to cease my own expansion and my own growth. And so, as it stands now, I try never to look back. Like I don't really want to retrace over old steps, no matter if the season calls for there being grass on the hill or not. There's still my footprints, and so as it stands right now, I can't say that I would. I'm sorry.
about ROH? What about ROH? Would you consider working for them again? I mean, you've had some good, obviously memorable matches there, and fond memories for the fans.
Please enter the phone number you wish to reach.
Hello? I think we might have lost Paul.
Uh-oh.
I think we did lose Paul. Give us 1 second while we try to get him back. Paul, are you there?
Now we lost him.
We lost Paul London. So we will try to get him back. 1 second. We do appreciate the questions that are coming into the chat room. We're trying to get as many of them as we can. I think.
You got to slow up, man. Jeez.
What happened?
You got to slow up. Everybody's typing too fast.
Yeah.
I think
they are typing. They are typing way too fast. And
I think he exploded right now. So let's try to see if we can.
You guys also have to be very patient with us. We can't, because people have to ask Paul London, stuff right away, and we just cannot do that. So we definitely want to ask for your patience. But yeah, definitely, we'll try to get Paul London back on the line. And in the meantime, we want to thank everybody listening. Don't forget to visit justin.tv/Byron420. Everybody is bumping right now in the chat room watching ECW, listening to Roundtable Wrestling Radio. Don't forget, go to randomradioonline.net if you want to hear the audio better. A lot of people were, because I think Byron plays it in another way in the chat room, so if you want to hear the best audio, go to randomradioonline.net, as always, to hear the audio until we get Paul London back. Yeah, Paul London definitely is a cool guy. So we will definitely try to get Paul London back. But as we discussed earlier, I know everybody, are you guys excited about the Macho Man, or am I the only one?
No, come on, man. I think I've been pushing about that.
You guys don't start excited about the Macho Man DVD, Dan.
I'm excited
about that on the film list favorite of mine for the longest, for them to finally make a Macho Man DVD. So I'm actually excited. I don't care whether it's matches or no documentaries. I think they are going to go with just matches only. I still want to get some Macho Man, support there. So it's not like to say that's not going to be the only Macho Man DVD out. They will bring more later on.
You think so?
I know so.
I think they're going to do just one. I don't think they're going to make a bunch.
Well, it also depends, too, if they can make any amends with him and Vince
and
company.
That's a good point. I think somebody earlier in the chat room said that, he's bound for the Hall of Fame. If that happens, I definitely see another DVD in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he does get the Hall of Fame, that's more...
Like I said before, all I can say is that we are very lucky to get Macho Man DVD in the first place. So it might not be the greatest, it might not be, everybody's dream or whatever, but hey, we got a fucking DVD. It's 3 discs. There's tons of matches on it. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? It's really, really not that bad. Some of his most notable matches are on this DVD. He will have, the matches with Tito Santana. There's even a match with Bruno Sammartino from '87, which I didn't even know even happened. So Macho Man versus Bruno Sammartino. Obviously the Steamboat match from WrestleMania 3. The Honky Tonk match from Saturday Night's Main Event that we had. Also the Macho Man versus DiBiase from WrestleMania 4. Macho Man versus DiBiase from another show. SummerSlam, the Mega Powers against Andre and DiBiase. Randy Savage against Hogan from WrestleMania 5. Hogan versus Savage on Saturday Night's Main Event. Randy Savage versus Dusty Rhodes from WrestleMania 6. The retirement match that everybody loves. Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage, WrestleMania 7. The match that Byron was playing earlier, Tuesday night in Texas. Macho Man versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake Roberts.
Which is an awesome match.
Yeah, that was crazy match where Jake Roberts slaps Elizabeth. Macho versus Flair from WrestleMania 8. Macho versus Shawn Michaels from European Rampage. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's one of the rarer matches because those two never really cross paths in the ring. So definitely it would be a good thing to pick up if you want to see one of those rare Shawn Michaels Macho Man feuds.
Absolutely. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Yokozuna from Monday Night Raw in 1994. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ric Flair, the lifeguard match from Bash at the Beach.
Oh my gosh, lifeguard match.
Yeah. That was a good match.
Bash at the Beach. That was got to be the worst fucking pay-per-view theme that they ever came up with. Bash at the Beach.
It is.
Oh, let's go to the beach to watch wrestling. Yes.
Hello? Certainly don't. Hello?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh, what up?
Loaded and you were gone.
Yeah, no, I had to run up to the spaceship real quick.
You were talking about the mega powers, and then you exploded for real.
Yeah, I had to go take care of some things, tweet some things up.
Spark one up.
Pete, somebody wanted to let you know that Teddy Hart, unfortunately, we can't take calls. That might be a good thing, considering the people that want to call.
Wait, that Teddy Hart what?
Teddy Hart is actually listening. Somebody's telling me this. I don't know if it's true. You could ask him yourself when you see him. But Teddy Hart says that he's listening, and he was trying to call in from Mexico.
He's listening into the interview right now?
Yeah, he's listening to Paul London right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, tell him I've got some green in hand, and I'm sorry for the both of us.
Paul, I had to ask you this.
Yeah.
Are you a Dutch man or are you a bong man?
Well, you know, I can't speculate other than that it lights the same.
I can't speculate.
Goes in the same. I mean, not speculate. I can't speculate. You know, I like water. I live near the ocean. So I like water. But yeah, I also live near the forest. So I like trees.
Everybody wants to know about ROH. Would you go back there, and how did you find your time in Ring of Honor?
I loved the time in Ring of Honor. It kind of put me on the map, you know. It was very, very beneficial from both standpoints. You know, they found this stupid kid in Texas that was willing to do anything and go crazy and almost kill himself several times. And then, you know, and then I was able to really have a platform to show different things that I could do, you know, and so it was a outstanding experience for me. And then I left, and then they just popped and just went crazier and crazier, and just got so much better as a company overall, and their, you know, what they were delivering, and the guys were just like going all out, and just it was nuts, you know. It was like every show for them is like a pay-per-view, you know, and that's and their guys treat it that way, and they, you know, take a lot of pride in working there, and you know, they should. I can't say that I know a whole lot about the current situation just because I'm just not that familiar with it. And so, whoops, I dropped the phone.
Drop the other. That's a sin.
What's that?
As long as you didn't drop the other stuff, that's always a sin.
So, Paul, I wanted to ask you a question. What exactly went down when that whole angle with Vince McMahon got killed?
Oh, yes.
And you had that little smile on your face. What exactly went down when that occurred?
I think we were all laughing.
Basically, yeah, it was just, you know, they riled up the cattle, put them in the hallway, and we're like, hey, you know, like, farmer's going to come through here, and when he does, the farmer is going to be, you know, looking much more queer than usual, see? So you done cattle now. Y'all need to just respond to the cattle man here. You need to respond to Farmer Vince here. He's going to be walking through the pasture much more queer-like than usual, understand? So y'all need to just respond to him, and just respond to him however you see fit now, but just respond to him as such, because he's going to be looking at each and every one of you queer in the eyes can be. And let me tell you, I'm talking queer as a $4 bill, child. Now, what y'all need to do is just respond to this man, how it might be, you know, and it could be anything, you know, improv, however you see it, but just know he's going to be walking through that hallway, and he's going to be crazy, like, okay? He's going to be a little bit more crazy than usual, okay? I use the word queer, as we say down here in the South. So we're going to say, you know, this man needs to be a little bit more queer-like than usual. Just respond accordingly. And that was all I was told.
Wow.
So then I just was standing there and just like, all right. And my only thought was,
when he was shouting out Paul, was he calling Paul Levesque or Paul London?
Was he calling that, or who? What? I'm so confused.
Did you know that he was going to get blown up? I mean, seriously. I mean,
no idea.
Hold up twice, Joey.
Did they tell you?
I had no idea. And like people could say, oh well, you know what? He wasn't listening, man. He should have been paying attention. It's like, okay, who was there? who wasn't there? All right? I believe I was there, and I know that I listen when I'm told to do something for the most part. But I'm at least listening to the instructions, but I had no clue. And I just smiled, kind of thinking, well, whatever is up this guy's ass, or whoever's up there from, having had to kiss it, fuck, man, I hope they don't look at me like I did anything, because I'm just a speck on everybody's ass here, I'm just some fucking nobody. Can't possibly think I would have done something, so that was my best. You can't possibly think I would have done something, Smile. Who the hell am I? Nobody even knows my damn name. So that was what happened, and then, that's what happened about 12 more times, and so why would I think anything wrong of it after you do it 12 times and, you're looked at in the eye every time like it's, oh, that's good business. It's good actor's business. Wow, that was good. Wow, way to go. So, yeah.
Right. That was a situation that was all over the internet about Paul London smiling.
How hilarious is that? It was like I had somehow smiled my way into the storylines.
You made a big hit on YouTube. I mean, people kept putting that as one of the main attractions for YouTube. Paul London smiles.
I mean, that was funny. I thought looking back on it, I was like, man, that was funny. I probably wouldn't have done it differently. I mean, if I had tried, it probably wouldn't have come off as funny. It would probably look crappy, like everyone else who was trying to, look confused or perplexed. You have all these people. Like, I'm telling you, I've said this before. Like, that's what's funny is you look around. Like, that's the funny stuff. Okay, like mine only looked funny because it was out of the ordinary, and the ordinary was bad.
Yeah.
So was that really the main reason why they decided to let you go from that point on? Because I actually thought when they were working this angle with Jericho, bringing out Lance Cade, I thought, and I was saying this on the show before, that they were going to possibly bring you into this mix and become part of Jericho's crew to go against Shawn Michaels for some reason, maybe to bring some of his students
I
to
would
Shawn.
say the smiling thing was kind of like the beginning to the downhill slide. Yeah, it was like Crocodile Now on a downhill slide, and so but hell, that's what happens when you're dealing with people with mature men who get their feelings hurt. Yeah, real businesslike. But well, I was already actually currently in some boiling water that morning, actually that day. And it's semi-laced with a story where someone I was, there was some news reports out at the time, apparently, and I just want to say this for anyone who listens, who's obviously on the internet. Just because something is posted on the internet, I know you've heard this a million times, but that does not give it any validity, does not make it truth whatsoever, especially when it's plastered all over multiple sites. That is called a snowball false report, and it's a report, period, so it's obviously something that's more reportable than nothing. So that's why it snowballs. It's called weak journalism, or lazy journalism. There was some lazy journalism easily put out there by, I don't know, maybe someone who likes to blog a lot. And it was put out that I had run into a fan and talked about these secret plans about, Survivor or something. And so that put me in bubbling water, but it was all completely made up as an attempt to get me in hot water. So I guess it worked. I guess some guys with guns and woods do have their plans fall through sometimes. And so, it was an internet thing that was put up, and I paid for it because, they were too lazy to look into it and see if there was any truth to it, which there wasn't. And I even had witnesses who were with me when the supposed run-in with the fan went down, and they were vouching for me. And letting it be known that just did not happen, and that they just weren't willing to. They were actually the company that likes to bash the internet was more willing to listen to the internet than they were to their own talent. So, yeah. But again, that's what happens when you work for people who have their feelings hurt over, you know. Oh man, he's going out with this person. Oh, he's going out with this person. And, oh my God, what grade are we in? Hey, are you going to the prom this weekend? I don't know, because so-and-so said that so-and-so is going with so-and-so. Oh my God, well I heard that so-and-so is so-and-so's so-and-so, and that they were giving so-and-so a rim job around the corner with so-and-so looking into a video camera. And it's like, oh my God. Like, it's all just like, I swear to God, I went through high school once, and it was fun. There was so much of it that sucked. And so I was just, if anything, I don't know if I hit my head too many times, but it was some strange-ass deja vu. You know, I'm just kind of like, what? Like, what? Am I guess eating at the lunch tables alone again, you know, whatever. Like, whatever, I don't know. Just high school. I wanted to be with her. Oh, he's with her. Oh, I'm so angry. Oh, I'm the taskmaster, and I'm going to make his career nothing. I don't know. It's silly. Feelings being hurt, it's silly. It's life. Grow up. Okay? Some people just don't. He's just not that into you. Sorry, that's a cheap plug for a chick flick. Actually, I heard that was a good movie. I did hear that was a good movie. But I heard it all from girls.
Did you see the Dark Knight?
Did I see the Dark Knight? We said it one more time. I'm sorry.
No, I said, are you into comic book movies? And if so, did you see the Dark Knight, Iron Man?
Phenomenal. Dark Knight was phenomenal, in my opinion, and a lot of people will disagree with me, including my brother. In my opinion, the Dark Knight was and is the best superhero movie that's been made thus far. A lot of people complain that it's too long at 3 hours and this and that, or that it feels like a second movie starts up and over again once they introduce Two-Face as, you know, the criminal and just this sadistic guy. But it was a phenomenal movie. You can't deny it. Who cares if it was 3 hours long? I wish it would have been longer. I wish it would just never end. It's just so
what about your reaction to The Wrestler? Did you get it by any chance to get to see that movie and what you thought about it?
I saw that several times as well. I thought that was incredible. You know,
I don't make
fortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch the Oscars.
But yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He did lose the Oscar to Sean Penn, but you know he was nominated.
Sean Penn was phenomenal in Milk. I mean, I thought he was incredible. But yeah, I think, you know, I don't know. There's always going to be people wondering like, well, it didn't get, you know, it wasn't a politically correct role or something, or, you know, there's always going to be reasons for whatever. But I thought Mickey Rourke was incredible, fantastic. I mean, just an absolutely emotional performance. You know, and then you hear this stuff about Evan Rachel Wood having not, what's her name? His daughter. I totally just blanked. She didn't even meet him until they had, you know, their first scene on the film, and it's just like it was an awesome movie. The way it was done, everything, documentary style. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, at least Heath Ledger, you know, he won for the Dark Knight, so. You know,
incredible. I mean, just an awesome performance.
Yeah, absolutely. People want to know your thoughts. You were involved in one of the best recently. One of the best ladder matches. You know, I saw this match live. I ordered the pay-per-view, and the match
thanks.
with you guys, the Hardys. I'm sorry, with the Hardys.
Don't be sorry. They helped.
Eminem.
They helped. Yeah, Eminem. And people want to know your reaction to Joey Matthews. Literally, his face.
They helped. Smash Joey's face. You know, that's just the risks of the idea of like, hey man, I got this great idea. Let's put these ladders right here, and I'm gonna hold y'all's head right here, and my brother's gonna jump off and hit his butt on the ladder, and it's gonna come up and hit y'all in the face. What do you think? Okay, yeah, sounds good. like, no, maybe. Great, great visual. Fuck, it was awesome. It looked awesome, but shit, like, that's a shame, that's a shame. It could have cost him his life. He's lucky to be alive,
Unfortunately, he didn't block in that one, because you see in the video clearly he didn't put his hands up on time for that hit, but, of course,
how could he anticipate the speed that thing was going to go up in? He's got this long, greasy hair flowing over his face. He's got this, like, mongoloid holding his head over the ladder, like, who knows how, who knows? So it's like, it's just like disaster waiting to happen, and it happened faster than anticipated, that sucked. I remember going to the hospital after the event. Let me see. I was looking around the hospital room. Let me see who was there. Hold on. Let me just try and recall this. Okay, I saw Johnny Nitro. Morrison. Okay, Brian and I were both there. Let's see. Regal and Taylor had already driven on to the next town and already expressed their concerns. And Joey's mom was there. And then two of their friends were there. Let me see. Someone's missing there. Hold on, let me think. I'm trying to, hold on. No, I could have sworn there was another person in that match. I know, and Jeff was there. Jeff was there for most of it. And we were all sitting there in the hospital. I remember there was this hospital in Richmond, Virginia, too, and it just, it was, we were there for hours, actually, waiting for Joey so we could see him and tell him, shit, thank you, and sorry about your face, and just like, man. And it was sad to see him, because you could see this guy who wanted to compete the next night on Raw. Are you kidding me? He was like begging to compete on Raw the next night. That's the kind of guy Joey is. You know what I mean? And it was just tragic, because you see this guy who's willing to give half his face for a match. Not that he was willing to do that, I'm sure, but in a way he was. And so it's just, it's unfortunate, but in a way it kind of added to the drama of the match. But I'm trying to remember who that. No, I think that was it. I think that was everyone that was in the hospital.
You sure it's not a guy with a receding hairline wearing a ponytail at all times?
There was the guy cleaning the floors that looked kind of like that, but not to visit.
The guy kind of wears his own gears inside and outside the ring.
No, he had already gone to the hotel trying to get some food.
He has a hand signal. He has a hand signal, right?
Yeah, isn't it the shocker?
The self-shocker?
The self-shocker.
The self-shocker, right? Where you give it to yourself? I think that's what that means. I don't know. That's just what I've heard.
Sure it's not one for himself and one for Johnny Ace?
Why
I don't know. I have no comment there.
Why does he yell when he does the leg drop from the second rope?
Why does he yell when he does the elbow from the second rope?
Because it's high risk. Come on, don't you get it? It's high risk, man. He might, Jesus.
Rope. The second rope?
Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here on the phone and have you guys bash my favorites, okay? Like, I mean, we're cool, we're talking stories and stuff. But when you guys start bashing my favorites, these guys, they're just, household names, like almost national celebrities. I mean, come on, guys, we gotta draw a line here somewhere, okay? I shaved my head. I tried to spray it on. It doesn't flow that way. Okay, I don't have curly hair. I just can't be cool.
I still wear that V1 shirt.
V is for vagina. Not vendetta. Not version. Vagina. When I think of the letter V, I think of vagina. Sorry.
Why?
I'm a guy.
I do. By the way, some of the guys that you work with, just thoughts on them randomly. AJ Styles.
Phenomenal. Whoops. Yeah, no, he's awesome. Is there anything he can't do? I don't think so. He's insane. He's like a living video game, like a real video. Would the WWE use him? Do you think? Would they? No. Could they? Yeah.
Probably to Mike Knox.
Next question.
Is there any particular favorite matches of yours personally?
Speaking of Mike Knox, sorry to go back, but I had always told that guy, you know what, man? You know what would really be badass is if he came out with like an axe and like a real flannel, you know? Like, ask Regal if you could borrow the man's man gimmick, and like, dude, you're so burly. Dude, look, tell me he wouldn't look badass as like the brawny guy, or like.
Why don't you come out with a bear?
The brawny guy, that's right. He does look like the
brawny.
Could
come out with a brawny guy. Come out with a bear, you know, as a sidekick.
Or as a bear. You know that fetish bear? It's like I think it's like hairy men or something. It's like a fetish. It's progressive, man. I mean, can you imagine? I think he should have a spot where he grabs the guy by the head and like rubs him into his chest, like, take that.
Is he gonna come out with the Blue Oyster theme from Police Academy?
That'd be sick with like a leather like biker cap. That'd be badass. A vest, black vest, and like one black glove.
The Great Khali, the Great Khali could be the Green Giant.
Definitely.
He's a pretty awesome guy. He could. But I mean, that's a lot of green paint. You know, or you just, I don't know, or you just shoot it with like digital.
Are we talking about green paint or just him green in the ring?
I don't know. The Green Giant versus the brawny guy. I think that'd be a good match.
Khali is awesome. That guy's awesome. I actually pitched an idea to have him as like our bodyguard.
Yeah, I think he's.
And then he had this fetish where he wanted to wear the masks all the time. They just looked at me cross-eyed.
Was there any matches of yours, either from any company, that you favored, that you can say, my God, that was a great match, or, you know, everybody has a favorite.
Not that I can say, like, my God, that was a great match, because I'm not... I mean, I'm a good wrestler, but there's like a million guys out there way better than I am. I mean, I'm unique in my own way. You know, you either dig it or you don't. I'm not gonna cry if you don't like me. Like, God forbid you have an opinion, you know, or a right to an opinion. Like, Jesus, that's only what makes us human, or what should compose what makes us human, is to have ourselves as a part of our everyday, which goes into opinion. So, to say I have great matches, I mean, I have a lot of matches that I'm very proud of, but I'm always going to be my worst critic.
I'm saying, what's your favorite match, though? I'm
sorry?
Your favorite match of yours. I'm saying, like,
I can't pick a favorite, but if I was to go down a list of, you know, like, obviously my match with AJ, Night of the Grudges has been one of my favorite matches. I had a match with Chris Sabin that I really, really, really enjoyed. I've had matches with Lance Hoyt or Lance Rock, whatever, you know, that were still some of my favorite matches that people will probably never get a chance to see because they were in companies that, you know, didn't have as big as exposure. WWE matches, just about any match that I had with Brian, singles match, is always at the top of my list. He's just so immensely talented that he would bring out the better in me. And so, you know, my matches with Jimmy Yang, same thing. Just two guys who know each other so well and know what each other is so capable of doing and willing to do. It's all just a matter of going out there and giving it our all in the allotted amount of time. And so when you get to work with guys like that, it's like you just salivate.
So where do you, Paul?
Sorry?
I'm just going to give you two guys for right now. Let me first start off with Billy Kidman and Evan Bourne.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because the thing with Kidman, like, it wasn't that he was like a jerk-off or a prick or anything like that. It's just a matter of two guys who just, you know, were acquaintances, you know, weren't even, I wouldn't even say friends, so to speak. We're pals, you know, like, got along, but for the most part, it was just a matter of me getting thrown under the bus to keep himself, you know, in the I guess the good viewpoints of his peers, you know, like, whatever. That's just like hazing the new guy, you know. It's nothing disastrous, but it wasn't like we were calling each other and, hey man, hey, and but at the same time we were guys in different spots, you know. This was a guy who was married, and I was just, you know, not married, and, you know, you're talking about guys who are just in different positions in their life. So we just naturally never really got along. We never really had anything in common. And I just always, always felt that he wasn't someone I could always really trust. And so, and then the thing with Evan Bourne, that kind of got taken in a negative light, and I apologize. Actually, at PWG, I issued a public apology, and I'll do it again right now. You know, like I never, in any light, meant to shine any kind of negativity on Matt Sydal as a person or as a performer at all. He's incredible. He's one of my friends. He's a funny ass guy, and we're friends.
It's just weird.
We actually mourned together for the Benoit thing. Jimmy Yang, and I actually mourned together at my house when the whole Benoit thing went down. We were in Corpus Christi, and they said, you know what, you guys are free to go. The show's canceled. And we took off and went back up to my house in Austin, and when the three of us we were all there for each other, me, Jimmy, and Evan, and Matt Sydal. And so that was something that got taken out of context because I was kind of I was having an odd day, but I was more kind of upset over the way that it got handled as far as like, hey, you cannot do this, even though you break your back for us every week for very little reward or recognition. And someone who just got here, we're going to kick the doors open and lay the carpet out for them. And I couldn't help but take it personal. Sorry, you know, like people think I'm an ass or a prick or a jerk off or whatever. I mean, fine, that's your opinion. But you know, that's the way I see it is when you're killing yourself for your employers and you're doing the best you can for your company, when you're trying to wear the banner and trying to run with the banner and trying to have pride in what you do for the sake of the overall production, and it's stepped on constantly and kicked when it's down. I mean, it's going to get a little discouraging when you continue to try and remain optimistic, and then you know something happens where someone comes in and gets spoon-fed. You know, and it's nothing against him as a person. He's phenomenal. He gets everything that he deserves. He's awesome, and he's just going to continue to rise. So I have nothing ever against him as a person. That's ridiculous. I can joke with Matt because we're friends, and I do think that our shooting stars are completely different. You know, I will say that. I won't say that. That his is. I know that I mentioned the word lackluster, and to me at the time, and I look at it as, you know, his shooting star is magnificent shooting star. It has such beauty and grace to it. I just feel that with mine, I land with a harder impact, and so they're completely different. You know.
Yeah, because I mean, when you look at the videos, you actually make your shooting star snap more, as opposed to where his is more of an angular like shooting star. But then with Kidman, it's like almost he just like lets himself fly, you know.
Well, I actually thought that was a moonsault. I actually thought he was doing moonsault to the outside.
And I still recall that one body he did in WCW that nearly almost cost his career to be cut short when he fucked up on the turnbuckle there. But I don't know. I mean, we're making such a big deal about this.
I'm sorry, I gotta say this, but I'll give Billy Kidman a pass for one thing and one thing only. He was with Torrie Wilson, and I'm sorry, he's okay in my
JBL would always rib him and tell him he was the overachiever.
I mean, anybody that dates Torrie Wilson is.
I have to be. Come on, man, Torrie Wilson.
Wait, what are you saying, Mitch from the Spirit Squad? You're putting that guy over now?
No, but according to them, they're just.
Yeah, you know. By the way, let me ask you a serious question. How do you handle being back there with those kind of women? I mean, they're pretty hot.
I think you really get to see a different side to most of them, and it's not always. It's not really what it's all cut out to be. The beauty of makeup. But there are a lot. I mean, they're for the most part, everyone's really sweet. You know what I mean? But as far as like, oh my God, I want to bang all these chicks, and just, oh my God, I can't help myself. They're so hot. They're all so skanky and so flirty with everybody. And it's like, I'm just.
That's not my thoughts.
What's that?
How do you know what I'm thinking? I said, how do you know what I'm thinking?
How do you know what CM Punk must be thinking? I mean, he's had a reputation for sleeping with quite a lot of the divas.
Who's that?
And TNA and WWE.
Who's that?
Yeah, Punk. He's known as CM Punk, known as the ladies' man, or that's.
Oh, isn't that what that CM stands for? Chick magnet or cum magnet or something like that? Chick magnet? I don't know. Chick magnet, I think, is what it stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there
pretty cool. It's pretty cool, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Is there anybody
I think he's slayed a few. I think he's slayed a few Diva Dragons.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yes.
Is there anybody past or present? Is there anybody past or present, deceased or, somebody now that you would have wanted to work with? I would say more of the past. Is there anybody in the past that obviously Kurt Hennig maybe, right?
Yeah, I would say they're him or Owen Hart.
Yeah.
Owen Hart was my favorite wrestler for the longest time, and he passed away the day after my high school graduation. And it pretty much ruined most of my excitement for having graduated. I was just so sad. I remember it was just so hard for me to believe, and I never even had the chance to meet him. I was always just someone how I admired. And, I mean, just so sad. I'll probably start crying about it again if I think about it too much, but just absolutely, the kind of person from what I could gather on him, was someone I would have loved to have met outside the ring, just a fun individual. And so, when great people are involved, it makes the hard part of the profession not seem so hard, And so, even though I never had a chance to meet him, I just knew that it was beyond a great loss, not just from a performer standpoint, but from a person standpoint, a person living on this earth. We lost a great one, and but to think of getting to work with him, it was just something.
I think what made
I was addicted. I was addicted to watching him wrestle.
It wasn't something drug related or any steroid scandal. I mean, this was just a tragic accident that happened, and unfortunately, we lost probably one of the greatest workers of that time, which I actually was more of a fan of him than his older brother, Brett. And I've said it many times on the show. I was a huge Owen Hart fan.
And just a great family man, which is so rare in the wrestling business. Just a great father. And, I had the pleasure of listening to road stories from, veterans and stuff like that. And it was just a real treat for me to get to listen, because it was, it just made me feel a bit closer to having had the chance to meet him. But that's without a doubt probably my dream opponent. By far.
Let me ask you something also, Paul. Last night they talked about the induction of Ricky Steamboat, and you mentioned earlier Ricky Steamboat. How is he? Because he seems like such a great guy. I mean,
he's awesome.
One of my personal Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
So awesome, yeah. He's the teacher.
I was addicted to watching Steamboat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the teacher that, like when you're struggling in class, he's the teacher that would pull you aside and talk with you, and he knew you, and he could talk with you, and he could level with you, and you got it, and you knew this guy was cool, and you knew you could trust him. He's that teacher, you know what I mean? Who you're kind of like, nobody wants to, you're kind of like the struggling kid in high school or in school or whatever. Nobody wants to really give you much of a chance, but he believes in you, and he knows what you're capable of, and he helps push you through it, and he's just overall just a gold soul, He's just a good dude. And so he was extremely motivating to me, and still is, and extremely helpful in just creating such a simplicity to the art form of what you do, and really able to translate it in a way that nobody else can.
Guys like The Undertaker and people like Bob Holly, like some of the older guys who've been around. I mean, were they any different? Did they ever pull you or other of your friends to the side?
Sure, absolutely. I received a lot of valuable advice from both of them. Bob Holly, I'd say more, just because I got to work with him more often. And, I'm a big fan of Bob. I think, I heard these things, and I saw something where it was like, Bob doesn't have any friends. I was like, that's a bunch of shit. Like, that's not true. Bob had plenty of friends.
I read that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, that's what I'm talking about. So it's nonsense. It's nonsensical, all these, everybody's got the answer. Everybody knows the truth. Oh, it's printed. It must be real. It's sad.
Yeah.
Like, think for yourself, people. You have a brain. Try and use it. Y'all can do it. You're more than capable to form your own opinions. Make the choice whether you want to just believe the lazy answer or just, listen to yourself and think maybe, I don't have to just go along with what everyone else thinks because it's popular. Like, Jesus Christ.
Matt.
Well, I got to say, Paul, we have totally run out of time. I want to truly thank you for being a guest on the show. It's always wonderful.
You guys have a good time, or I don't know. I think I had a pretty good time. I get like 30 phone calls. While I was on the phone, my friends are like, "Where are you? Are you dead?"
Awesome. We had such an awesome time, and most of the people that we bring on the show is because we're truly fans of, and you are, definitely a huge case of that. We are huge fans. It's been an honor, Paul. Please always feel free to come back to the Roundtable. Most of our guests do. DDP's been on like 5 times, So.
Oh, he's awesome. I hope maybe I'd like to learn some yoga from him. To be honest with you, it's something I'm trying to get into.
Yeah. DDP's an awesome guy, man. But Paul,
super
thank
cool.
you so much. We wish you the best. I hope to see
you
sometime in any capacity on TV, man.
Hey, Paul, if you ever come down to Miami in 305, let me know. I could hook you up with some good shit down here. I know on the West Coast you must have some of that stuff, but in Texas, but let me know and I'll hook you up.
Fantastic, man. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and we got one that we call King Kong, and trust me, when you smoke it, you'll feel like you're on a skyscraper swatting fucking planes.
Oh my God.
As long as I can hold a little woman in my hand. I'm kidding. It sounded really bad. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Yo, Paul London, man. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
I hope you had a good time, Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Had a good time.
All right, I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, man. The wonderful Paul London. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to wrap up the show when we come back. I want to thank Paul London immensely, and, of course, Corey as well, who made that happen. I want to thank Corey from the bottom of my heart for giving us Paul London, a tremendous guy. And I sincerely, we say this a lot, but really do wish that Paul London makes some kind of TV appearance, whether it's Ring of Honor, TNA.
I really don't care. I mean, this guy is definitely one of the best workers out there.
He should be on TV.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the talent right there. So we'll be right back right after this here on Roundtable Wrestling Radio.